Yo, Kyle Lowe here. It's September 9th, 2024, and there were a ton of announcements today. Aputure announced a 1200X, very sexy. I want one. I wish I had $3,000 that I could just spend on that, or I could justify getting that, because that is very cool. Canon announced a C80, which is basically the C70, but with the sensor of the C400. That is very cool. I think I'm going to stick with my C70 for sure, but maybe this R5C might be on the chopping block for a C80. I don't know. Although it is full frame, it does not have as much dynamic range as the C70, which is why I'm definitely going to be hanging on to the C70. I can get like one more stop of dynamic range out of the C70. And ever since I got the screen fixed by Canon, it has been a beast. I love it still. Really, the main upgrade to the C80 that I'm really excited for is the SDI output, and they put the nicer joystick on it. And the joystick's now over here. They swapped the buttons on the joystick. That is very cool. My buddy Jordan Pomano got to play with the C80 before anybody else, so I'll put the link to his video down in the doobly-doo. Check that out. But now, the thing you've all been waiting for, it's time for my annual who should upgrade to the new iPhone video. Typically, I start getting text messages the day after the iPhone is announced, and people are like, Kyle, is the iPhone good? Should I upgrade? And then I have to ask them, like, what phone do they currently have and whether or not they should upgrade. But Apple announced a couple other things. Let's go in order of what they announced, starting with the Apple Watch. 10 years of Apple Watch, can you believe it? This is the Series 10 Apple Watch. The cool new feature that I think is kind of cool is like sleep apnea detection. I already know that I have sleep apnea and I've already done tests and stuff, but it might let some people know that they have sleep apnea, and people who sleep as bad as I used to can now get a good night's sleep, hopefully. You know, once they know they have sleep apnea, and then talk to their doctor about what they will do to alleviate that. There's a new titanium finish that replaces the stainless steel, it appears. It seems cool. Might be even lighter, even on top of the like shrinkage that Apple is touting. The whole Apple Watch is going to get a little bit thinner, which is nice. I do bang my Apple Watch on a lot of stuff. I feel bad when I do. Just door handles, like where my arm swings is the same height as a lot of door handles, and I just smack my Apple Watch into door handles constantly walking through doorways. I believe my Apple Watch is a Series 7, the one released in 2021. I'm still very happy with it. I still get great battery life, although I did turn off the always on screen. I think I would not get as good battery life if I turned the always on screen setting, but I can make it a whole day and all night, and then I charge it in the morning when I eat breakfast and get ready for my day. That seems to work really well for me. So I would say, yeah, if you're like Series 6 and Series 7, your battery's still going great, I think you are probably fine to keep using your Apple Watch. Like, don't throw it away if it's still good. But maybe the Series 5 and older, like 5 years is a good time for a lithium ion battery. You're probably not getting all day battery life. So at that point, you may be considering a new Apple Watch. And the new Apple Watch Series 10 aluminum starts at $399. Not a bad price. I don't think the SE is still a good deal. I think the SE basically has the features from the Apple Watch Series 5 or 4 or something. Don't do that. The titanium looks cool. I want to see it in person before I recommend it. And then lastly, the Apple Watch Ultra is not getting an upgrade. I think it's still the Apple Watch Ultra 2, but it now comes in a darker titanium, which I forget who the Apple staffer was who was talking about it, but he was talking about it. It was just like so sexy. He was made the Apple Watch Ultra titanium, dark black titanium, sound so sexy. But yeah, it's still the same Apple Watch Ultra. If you are an Apple Watch Ultra owner, even the first one, I don't know if it's necessarily time to upgrade unless you've totally burned your battery on it, or you feel like your normal Apple Watch isn't cutting it, then you could upgrade to the Ultra. But I don't anticipate a new Ultra coming out for a little while. And then it was time to talk AirPods. I love the fact that like AirPods, after a couple of years of being out, just the original AirPods, which like the original run was around for like 2 or 2.5 years. It was a good long run. But like the amount of money that Apple was making was so large. They were grossing more money just from AirPods that they were eclipsing the businesses of some other huge businesses, but just in AirPod sales. So like Apple spun off this business that was just AirPods. That business would be bigger than like a whole bunch of like car manufacturers and huge tech companies that we think are huge aside from Apple. Nuts. Anyway, there's a 4th generation AirPods. The open ear AirPods are my favorite. I don't like silicone tips in my ear. And so it's very cool to hear that these 4th generation AirPods have an option for ANC or noise canceling. I don't necessarily know how good that's going to be, because typically you want a closed environment for noise canceling to work well, but should be cool. And it's not free. If you just want normal AirPods and you don't care about noise canceling, those are $129. But if you want the AirPods with noise canceling, it's $179. And either way, you get a new case that charges over USB-C, which is awesome, slowly phasing out Lightning from everything. Though the Mac keyboard and trackpad that come with the iMac somehow still charge with Lightning. And I am interested to hear how the sound profile sounds like on these new AirPods. That said, Apple tweaks the sound profiles with software updates. As you update your phone updates your AirPods, and they will tweak the curve of the EQ and the sound profile just a little bit as time goes on, which is interesting. But I'm very interested to hear how they sound right out the gate, maybe in like a year or so. That said, if you have AirPods 3 that are still kicking, they still get good battery life for you, you probably don't need to upgrade unless you really want noise canceling. If you have the original AirPods or AirPods 2, this might be an upgrade. I do actually still keep a set of the original AirPods around just because they don't do automatic device switching. AirPods, I think since the 2, maybe the 3, added a feature that if you are on your phone and you're listening to something, but you pick up your iPad and you open YouTube and you start watching there, they will automatically switch to the other device. It doesn't always work in the way that I want it to. Like sometimes, yeah, I'm listening to a podcast on my phone, and then I open Twitter to scroll Twitter, and then a Twitter video takes my podcast away. Sometimes there are moments where I don't want my attention stolen, and the original AirPods just do that by default. Like they don't have the feature built in, because if you want to turn that feature off, you have to go into every device that's on your iCloud account and tell it not to steal the focus of your AirPods. It's kind of annoying. I wish there was one universal switch in iOS, iPadOS, macOS that you could say, these AirPods, they don't switch automatically. They only switch when I tell them to. So that's something I would like to see in a software update for AirPods or in a future AirPods. And then the AirPods Pro. I guess those are huge. Those are the best sellers, although I don't care for silicone tips. They are not getting an upgrade in terms of hardware this year. They've actually been around for a good long while. They had a case that had Lightning, and then they came out with the case with USB-C, and there was like, if you bought the AirPods Pro with the USB-C case already, then they worked with Vision Pro, but if you had old ones, they didn't. So maybe like AirPods Pro are technically on a version 2.5, but I think all of the AirPods 2, or all of, the AirPods that are called AirPods 2 from the Lightning case through the USB-C case are getting a software update that allows them to be hearing aids. It'll run a test on your iPhone and while wearing the AirPods, and you can like tap it to when you hear sounds and stuff, and it'll determine your level of hearing loss. And then that will also tune how they work as over-the-counter hearing aids, which is very cool. I kind of want to get some for my grandma, but my grandma doesn't actually have an iPhone, so I don't know if I want to set that profile up on my phone and then have her have these hearing aids, but because she don't hear very well. But yeah, I don't know what the implications are for someone who doesn't have an iPhone to try to use these as hearing aids. And then there's the AirPods Max, and I don't know if this video is still online. If it is, I'll link it in the doobly-doo, but we may have taken it down. But when the AirPods Max originally came out, Gilbert and I made like a 2-hour-long podcast about deep diving into the AirPods Max. And it's still relevant because the AirPods Max are really just getting an upgrade of USB-C and some new colors, which is kind of a bummer. I really like the blue color of the AirPods Max. The new blue, I don't know if I like it. I think Quinn Nelson, Snazzy Labs, put it best in a thread. There's like a million problems with the AirPods Max, and Apple really just fixed one of them by switching out Lightning for USB-C. Now, the AirPods Max, like AirPods and AirPods Pro, basically over the lifetime, Apple has been tweaking the sound of them. They don't sound the same way. If someone could find AirPods Max clean out of the box right when they came out, what was that, 2021? They would sound wildly different than they do today. You know, if you did a software update to your phone, paired them to your phone, they updated. And I do think in some ways it is better. And Apple has slowly been revising like the fabric of the ear cups. Again, if you have some in a box from like 2021 and you got these ones that are about to come out, the ear cup fabric is going to feel a little bit different, I think. They kind of tweaked the formula because they were holding people's sweat inside the ear cups a little too much, which is another problem that I think Apple should fix in a revision to AirPods Max. But now I really don't know when that's going to happen because these headphones have been around for 3 years and this is the only tiny upgrade we've gotten. I don't, maybe they've been forgotten by Apple and they're like, oh shoot, let's put a USB-C port on them and just give some new anodization colors. But they're still too heavy. They still can't connect to another device digitally over a cable. So even though they've got a USB-C port on them, you still have to get like a cable with a DAC in it to feed the data back into your headphones. I don't believe you can just take a USB-C cable from your iPhone to your headphones and get lossless audio quality, which is interesting because there are Beats, and Beats is owned by Apple, that have a lossless USB connection to your computer, to your phone, to your iPad, and able to listen to lossless audio. The AirPods Max, still very weird. I still don't recommend them. And then there's the star of the show. And I want to talk about those, but I want to give you the TLDR. I'm not going to be upgrading my phone. And one of the things that I recommend for people who want to, fight off the FOMO is to get yourself a new case and put on a fresh screen protector if you're a screen protector person. And actually, I recently dropped my iPhone and cracked my screen protector. So I actually need a new screen protector. There's a crack here and here and here. It was just on Sunday or Saturday or Sunday. I dropped my phone pretty good and I cracked this screen protector. So I'm going to put on a new screen protector while I talk about the iPhone 16 and who I think should upgrade. I think the biggest jump in upgrade is actually the normal iPhone 16. The iPhone 16 this year, it's basically last year's iPhone 15 Pro. It basically got everything the 15 Pro has, with the exception of the telephoto lens. So if you don't need your phone camera to have a 5x zoom, you can take pictures of your kids, cross-country meet or something, I don't know, then you could probably get an iPhone 16 and be really happy with it. I'm a videographer, photographer, cinematographer, director, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And the camera is the thing that I probably care about the most in my ability to record video. And while I don't think the iPhone 16 is getting the ProRes and Apple Log video recording, it is getting the 48 megapixel camera from the iPhone 15 Pro, which is great. It is a fantastic camera, especially at 24 millimeters or 1x. When you jump into 2x, they claim there isn't a loss in visual quality, and maybe there isn't on the pixel side of things and the software processing side of things. But there kind of is optically, the lens, is tiny and relatively sharp, but not the sharpest. So when you do punch in 2 times, even with all the software sharpening that could happen, it is a little soft. So that's my only concern. So Apple is saying that, there's 2 lenses in one, 1x and 2x, but the 2x, I use it sparingly, especially with photos, but with video, I use it. And it's okay. The iPhone 16 is also getting the 0.5x, the ultra wide from the iPhone 15 Pro. And it's great because it's got macro. It's got autofocus and it's got macro. You can take pictures close up in a pinch if you need to. It's not very good resolution, but it's nice. When I'm taking pictures, especially of other Apple device serial numbers, like an iMac serial number on the bottom of the foot, it's super handy, but it's not like I'm gonna try to print out those photos. It's only 12 megapixels, But yeah, just for like trying to read fine text, super helpful for that. Gotta get all the dust and lint off of my phone. And then, so Apple's claiming you get 4 lenses, a macro lens, an ultra wide lens, a 1x lens, 24 millimeters, and a 2x lens, a 48 millimeters, but it really is just 2 lenses. And like the 15 Pro, you gain the ability to shoot spatial video, which is very cool. You know, I thought the Vision Pro, or at least I hoped that the Vision Pro was gonna take off more than it actually has. And I thought there would be more of a demand for, spatial or 3D video, but there really hasn't. So although the iPhone 16 can shoot spatial video, you know, you can only really view it on the Vision Pro, properly at least. So I don't know, you know, if that's really a big selling point. I guess for the 1,000 people who still have a Vision Pro and use it regularly, the ability to shoot spatial video and then watch it later on your Vision Pro, like, is gonna be cool. But I assume the people who have Vision Pro are getting the Pro phones. I did not do a great job keeping the dust off of this. This is bad. This one's toast. I ruined that. I haven't done screen protectors in a long time. I've lost the touch, I think. Damn it, I touched the screen. Okay, starting over. All right, second time's a charm. Okay, where was I on the iPhone 16? Oh yeah, it's got a new button. They're calling it the camera control button because it's both a button and a slider, which actually makes me very happy. It's basically the return of the Canon EOS R touch bar. I loved my Canon EOS R. I still love it. I still have it. And people got real mad at the touch bar. They said they'd rather have a joystick. Here's the thing. I hardly ever use the joystick on my R5C and R6 Mark II. Are nice, but I don't use them to move my focus points around. I touch the screen or use the wheels. When on my DSLR, I used to use the wheels. I never had a DSLR. No, maybe my 5D Mark III did, but I would always use the wheels to move my autofocus points. Anyway, the iPhone 16's like camera touch bar is going to allow you to change things like exposure and like color settings. It's going to do a whole bunch of stuff. But you can also then just push it in and take the photo. It'll also launch the camera at any time, which actually makes iOS 18's ability to change what your lock screen buttons are a lot more sense. And because now you've got a physical button that launches the camera. Dang, I am still struggling with this screen protector. I guess I should hang up my hat as someone who says they're good at screen protectors, because I obviously am not. I give up. I give up on this. Whatever. I tried. And I probably, yeah, could use a new case. This is a Spigen one. Or maybe I'll just get a new iPhone. Anyway, yeah, the new camera button seems very cool. Again, I don't think that's like something worth upgrading if you have an iPhone 15. The iPhone 15 is still a very capable phone. Like I said though, this is a big jump upgrade, I think, from the 15 to the 16. But I think if you still have a 15, you're in good shape. My recommendation for the iPhone 16 is basically anybody who had an iPhone 14 or before and then doesn't need the things of the Pro. Now, let's talk about the iPhone 16 Pro. The iPhone 16 Pro is getting some cool stuff. Basically the same camera button for the iPhone 16, but hardware-wise it seems almost indistinguishable from the original are from the previous iPhone 15 Pro. Main camera and the telephoto camera mainly seem to be very similar from the iPhone. Apple talked a lot about how the new chips in the 16 and the 16 Pro are a lot better, A18 and A18 Pro, but the funny thing was that the clips that they played, they were like, oh, it's going to be better at gaming. The clip that they played, and maybe it was just my connection to the live stream, but I'm pretty sure it's in the clip. I'll go watch it again. There's some stuttering in the video game gameplay. Like, why did they pick that clip? They're stuttering if they're trying to show how good this chip is at gaming. But then the same thing happened when they were showing off cinematic mode. They played a clip of cinematic mode that had terrible cutout. There was like on the edge of the cheek of one of the characters, there was like a millimeter or centimeter of like stuff in the background that was still in focus. It was very weird, the clips that Apple chose to showcase these things. Now, granted, it's probably still a good chip. And in fact, one of the things that interested me the most is that it will have a faster USB-C, USB 3 transfer speed, which is great for transferring like photos and videos off of the phone onto an SSD. I end up plugging my SSD into my phone like once a week to pull like my New Food Friday show that I record in the Blackmagic app. But I don't want to plug in the SSD to record because I want to be kind of inconspicuous. So I record into the phone and then I offload it to an SSD afterward. It'd be great to be able to transfer that even faster. But it was just a very weird part of the presentation. Oh, the chip is better at gaming. Play a clip that stutters. Oh, the camera, like cinematic mode is even better. And they show like a terrible clip showing off the cutout for cinematic mode. And then they're like, oh, battery life is going to be better. But then they don't actually quote how many hours of battery life that we're going to get. I feel like Apple typically says like, oh, 24 hours of battery light internet usage, but they didn't actually say, they just said it has the best battery life ever. So I guess we can look at the stats for the iPhone 15 and maybe add 15 minutes. I don't know how much better. And then there's the cameras. It seems like the iPhone 16 Pro is keeping the same, 48 megapixel normal camera, the wide camera, the 24 megapixel camera. Great, a fine lens and sensor combination. There may be some upgrades. It might be a new sensor from Sony, but even then, it's going to be the same stats. I can't imagine it being much better. Maybe a little bit better readout, which would minimize rolling shutter, but we'll have to see that to believe it. So I don't know, but it's fine. And both the normal 16 Pro and the Pro Max are getting the 5x telephoto, which is cool. I like the 5x telephoto. Any way that I can get closer, it's 120 millimeter full frame equivalent. And it's, it's okay optically. It's not the best, but in most general cases, outdoors, bright sunny day or a studio. But the ultra wide angle macro camera is getting upgraded to 48 megapixels. That'll be cool. I also hope the optics are cleaned up a little bit to make use of that. But now I think like macro photos will be usable for things other than just like reading serial numbers on the iPhone 16 Pro. Again, I don't think that's enough for me to upgrade from my iPhone 15 Pro. The video modes are getting 4K 120 frames per second recording. That is very cool. Again, not enough for me to upgrade, but it is very cool. That's video modes that I've had like on this R5C and my C70, and even my C70 4K 120 isn't ideal because I lose dynamic range. But I wonder if that is also happening with the iPhone, because the clip they played showing off the slow-mo of the iPhone, one of the actors' face had a really hot spot that was clipping on their face. Again, I thought it was a weird choice for Apple to leave that in the final video, or they didn't shoot it properly the first time around. That was very, very weird. Not a great way to showcase it, but the 4K 120 does allow you to record in Dolby HDR, which is fine. It's overly sharp, but it's better than nothing. And ProRes log, which is very cool. And I wonder if they didn't use ProRes log to film that clip with the hotspot on the actor's face. Like 4K 60 frames per second, the log footage has to be recorded on an external SSD. You have to have that SSD plugged in or you won't be able to record it internally. Now, the Blackmagic app, if they update it to allow you to record 4K 120 in log, it will probably also let you record it in HEVC or the H.265 format, which would be great and maybe let you record that internally. But that is something that I would love to see just Apple get in the regular camera app. The ProRes is great, but even ProRes Lite and ProRes Proxy is pretty heavy duty at 4K 60 and 120 frames per second. I would love to be able to record an H.265 or HEVC 420 10-bit log footage at a higher bit rate. I think the bit rate for the log footage coming out of the Blackmagic camera app is like 50 megabits per second. I would love to see 100 for 24 frames per second and 150 for 60 and maybe even 200 or 250 for 120. That would allow for much smaller file sizes over the ProRes HQ that comes out of the regular camera app, and still allow, although 120 frames per second at 250 megabits per second is going to still be a big file. At least I could record it internally and offload it to an SSD to kind of keep things a little more incognito, and I don't have to plug in an SSD. That said, Lexar came out with a really cool SSD for recording on iPhone. I think it's going to also work on the iPhone 16. I'd love to get my hands on one of those little Lexar SSDs with the U-turn USB adapter, so it just sits flush against your iPhone. I think that's very cool. I'd like to get one to test one out. So if anybody from Lexar's hearing me out, I'd love to test one of your SSDs. The iPhone 16 Pro is also getting a new microphone array, which is very cool in that they're creating these new mic features for video. And they're essentially the same kinds of noise reduction things that we see in our NLEs, our video editors, or on Adobe Podcasts. But it's using the 4 microphones to do things like noise cancellation or kind of focusing where your audio is, kind of like a shotgun mic. I'm using my shotgun mics right now, or I'd show you one. So you'll be able to capture spatial audio that you would be able to hear in your AirPods or your Vision Pro headset. So while you record video, you'll be able to record spatial audio, which is kind of that 360 audio sound. But you can also take that audio and that microphone array to do really cool noise cancellation or audio focusing, essentially. The iPhone 15 and 15 Pro already did that. The funny thing is I typically recommended for people to turn that off and set their iPhone into mono mode, which just kind of focused the mic straight ahead and didn't change the wideness of the audio based on whether you're on 0.5 or 1x, 2x, or 5x. I just like the mono audio, but I might use some of these features if I could get a future iPhone, like the in-frame mic. So if the camera is pointed at a thing, it's going to focus the mic straight ahead and try to just capture audio for the things that are in frame, the people who are in frame. So if you're in a noisy environment, it's going to be much more focused to the things in frame, which I kind of felt like is what mono mode did already. But supposedly this is using some of the side microphones to cancel out more audio. There's also a studio mix mode, which sounds a lot more like what Adobe Podcast is doing when you upload an audio file to Adobe Podcast. Even if you didn't record with a dynamic mic right up against your mouth in a treated studio space, your voice kind of sounds like that. Which would be great for talking head videos. For people who record their YouTube videos with their iPhone, that could be a really great setting. And then there's a cinematic mode for audio. The word is overused, but essentially it is a very cool mix where it's going to take that in-frame sound, the people who are talking that you're actually looking at, and it's going to put that on the center channel. And then the 5.1 mix, it's going to put all the ambiance in the surrounding speakers. So you'll always have the speaker voice front and center, and then all the ambiance will be around. That's, essentially what 5.1 and Dolby Atmos mixing is doing, but your iPhone is doing it. That's kind of cool. Will I use it? I will probably need to hear it in action, but it's kind of cool that they're thinking that way, and hopefully year after year, it just gets better. So who do I think should get the iPhone 16 Pro or Pro Max? I think the iPhone 15 Pro is still very solid. The Pro Max is awesome, and I still love it, and I will attempt to fix this screen protector. It was just taking too much brain power to do it, and I'm not going to upgrade. And I don't think anybody with an iPhone 15 Pro, Pro Max needs to upgrade unless you really want these new features or you just love having the new phone. That's great, but I don't think you need to. I think people with an iPhone 14 Pro could benefit from the new camera system. I really love having Apple log video recording, both in the regular camera app, but it really, especially in the Blackmagic app. The Kino app is cool. The Halide people, you're onto something really cool, but that app is still very buggy. I can't use it normally. That could be a whole nother video. But I think the jump from the 14 Pro to the 15 Pro on the video front was a huge leap. And this is more of an incremental upgrade. Unless you absolutely need 4K 120, I don't think it's huge. The camera button, camera control is cool. We've been living without it for the last 15 years. It's a nice touch, but it's not like needed. But I like where it is going. Filming these entire keynote presentations on iPhone. So there is really an emphasis on the camera and the video quality from these iPhones. So I like to see it. But it's not a big enough jump for me to upgrade yet. And here are two things that I'm kind of unclear on in terms of how they were announced. Apple did announce that the Voice Memos app is going to allow some layering. I don't know if it's just like your base layer and then one layer on top of it or more, which kind of is funny. There was the Music Notes app and then there's GarageBand still. It feels like it's kind of encroaching on some of those tools, but just to be able to record a quick voice memo and then do another layer really quick and not have to like open GarageBand and start a new project and create a new track. It's one of those things that's an accessibility thing. It's a quickness thing. It's cool. I'm happy to see it. They did announce it during the iPhone 16 Pro part of the presentation. I wonder if only the iPhone 16 Pro is getting it because of the way the spatial microphones are going to be able to cancel out sound if you're listening to a voice memo through the phone speakers and then layering. It says it's going to be able to strip the original audio out. I would love to see it come to older phones and even the iPhone 16, even if it requires you to use like headphones plugged in while you record it. But I don't know. We'll see when that comes out. The other thing was that they announced that there will be a new MagSafe puck, new MagSafe or Qi 2 puck that's going to be able to push even more wattage through to your phone. That was also announced during the iPhone 16 Pro part, and it's unclear as to if only the iPhone 16 Pro is going to be able to take advantage of that extra wattage from the MagSafe, higher wattage MagSafe puck. I think possibly that's going to be like iPhone 16 Pro only. It would be nice to be able to charge things a little bit faster. I don't need like 100 watts to charge my phone. Honestly, the MagSafe charger that I have does a great job, and it's one of those like standing ones, so I use it overnight. My phone turns into like my old alarm clock, so I like that. So I don't know, but in a pinch, sometimes I am running low and I want to charge up real fast. So it would be nice if a higher wattage MagSafe puck could charge an older phone a little bit faster too. I get that it's there. It also has to do with how many coils are on the back of the phone. But we'll see, I'll do some tests. Old MagSafe puck and a new MagSafe puck. I'm saying puck too much, aren't I? Anyway, that's it for this video. Those are my recommendations for everything Apple announced today. I think everything, if you have just the previous version of it, you probably don't need to upgrade. And no one needs to buy AirPods Max. Maybe the Apple Watch a few series back, you're good. But I do like these incremental upgrades. I do like what Apple is doing with the hardware. It'll be very interesting to see how the software ties into it. iOS 18 is coming out September 16th. Although not all of the Apple Intelligence stuff is launching at the same time, that's going to roll out. It is very interesting, like how different tech companies are approaching artificial or Apple Intelligence. But I do kind of like that Apple is more on the play it safe side and partnering with existing companies like OpenAI to bolster their AI implementations. So it seems good. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you've got more questions, leave them down in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Peace.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, got it. Third time's a charm. I just couldn't be talking about iPhones at the same time. Phew. Done.